Hey,
Obviously YouTube is a thing that can only exist if people watch the videos, and some people care. So many people have asked, what's happened? Why have you not been around? Why have you not been posting videos frequently? Why have you gone from posting like 30 videos a month across two different channels to posting one video a month across two different channels? And honestly, there's a whole bunch of circumstances that go into this. One of them being my health, which is not great. I'm not going to go into detail on that one. It just is what it is. And two, something happened. I guess not something, a bunch of things happened in early 2023 that kind of killed my love for the game. It killed my love for YouTube and made it really hard to want to continue. And like I say, it was a bunch of circumstances that just happened to come all at the right time when I was at, I guess, what would have been considered maybe the peak, the best time of my life in recent years. If anyone knows, I went through some real bad health stuff years ago in 2017, 2018. Since then, everything's been not great. And YouTube was kind of the thing I started doing because I had nothing else to do because I was recovering and, just didn't have a bunch of options. And YouTube really, in a way, allowed me to live life in a way I never imagined I could. And everything was going amazing. It was up every month. Everything was great. I was having a really good time. I absolutely loved YouTube in 2022 and in 2021. It was the thing I thought I'd be doing forever, and I was so blessed to be doing it. I was so lucky. And I thought I was doing good work as well. Some of the stuff I'm proud of, like doing some of the investigative work I was doing surrounding video games, as well as also just making videos that entertain people, which has a value in and of itself, even if you don't appreciate it at the time when you're doing it. The amount of people that sent me messages, well wishers, and how videos had entertained them or helped them through a rough time, or something that they just enjoyed doing, that had way more value than I was able to appreciate at the time. And that's probably why I owe this explanation in a way, maybe if not just for catharsis of myself, but also to let those people know, what's going on, because you do deserve it. Um, and then, like I say, stuff happened in early 2023. It was like a culmination of the channels had just gotten so big, maybe not in the grand scheme of things, but in the scheme of my life, that making certain videos was getting attention from certain communities that was not conducive to me having a good time. It was not so bad originally when it was like a small video game community got upset that I'd done something or said something. I said I didn't like the game or I exposed that the devs were doing something bad. That wasn't super bad in the beginning, but when you combine it with essentially I discovered that a bunch of different people, rich people, had decided to come together in a group, a cabal, as some may put it, to try and ruin my life actively, with those words actually being used behind the scenes. Um, I was dealing with 23 DMCAs on YouTube, which if three of them go through, your account gets permanently deleted, and you get banned from AdSense. So all your other accounts get deleted, and you can never own a YouTube channel ever again. It's basically like, oh, if this goes through, your life just gets ruined, basically. And that was the direct goal. Not only that, I had three different companies, the same ones, sending me legal threats and notices, for which I had to spend tens of thousands, not just 10, multiple tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees on short notice. At the time, I was living in Thailand. I'm now living in England. If you've not noticed, maybe this is the first you've seen of me in months, because the algorithm doesn't recommend my content too much anymore because I don't consistently post content. So obviously, it prioritizes recommending stuff to people that have been watching more frequently recently. Um, so basically, in 2022, I believe, yeah, 2022, I moved to Thailand, me and my girlfriend, which is another thing that, for whatever reason, people decided to start making lies up about me and saying, yo, you moved to Thailand for sex toys and blah, blah, blah. I've been with my partner for, I think, 9 years now. We're married. I call my girlfriend because it's a civil partnership, so it's not technically a marriage, but it is what it is. Plus, it's a recent thing. It happened a couple months ago. And we moved there together. Was nothing weird about it. We just decided we both work remotely. Why don't we do this? Travel the world. It'll be fun. It'll be cool. So we were living in Thailand. Everything was great. I'd taken on a bunch of responsibility in terms of bills that were considerably higher than I was comfortable with. But because YouTube was doing, I was in therapy at the time, just for my own sake, nothing, too crazy. And that helped me deal with things a bit. But part of the advice was, take a step back. And then I took maybe too many steps back and just started not caring about YouTube. Stopped making videos as frequently. The videos I was making, I was outsourcing scripts. Not all the time. There were some videos I was still proud of making during that time, and probably the ones that did the best, actually. But I was trying to check boxes. I was trying to be like, okay, I've committed to making 4 videos a month on the main channel. I don't have the mental bandwidth. I don't have the emotional capacity to put my all into doing something like I used to do, to make 4 compelling, interesting scripts per month. So I'll do 2 or 3, and I'll pay a bunch of different people to give me ideas. Then I'll write scripts about their ideas, and sometimes they weren't things that I was interested in, so maybe they weren't as good as they could have been or should have been. But either way, then the metrics of the channel started going down, because of course it did. And then because the legal stuff and everything else, and me just being not upset with, but just totally devoid of emotion towards doing YouTube anymore. I just had like such a negative association with turning on a camera or sitting down and researching things and investigating things, because of what had happened with all these different communities, and also the DMCAs, and not being able to get answers from YouTube and other stuff. Plus my health was a factor, and all of this was harming me massively to the point where things just got worse in every aspect of my life. So as all that was going on, I just stopped uploading videos, and you'll have noticed probably in the last 6 months it's gotten really bad, to the point where I stopped even uploading at all. Like I think in the last 6 months, the main YouTube channel, the one where I was doing all the video essays and stuff, I think I uploaded like 1 video a month some months, and that's just kind of how it's been. And obviously when you stop uploading YouTube videos, you just stop earning money. And the second channel as well, I'd come back and I'd post like 2 or 3 videos in a week, and then I'd not post for another month or 2. And that's just kind of how it's been, and that's kind of where I've been at with it. And I'm not making this video to be like, oh yeah, now things are going to change, and now I'm definitely coming back, or, I've definitely quit forever. I'm just making it to explain what's been going on. So because of the fact that I'd taken on a bunch of bills and I was just no longer making YouTube videos, I could have continued to try and would have probably been fine. I moved back to England because obviously having crazy bills and traveling the world and stuff like that isn't a thing you can do when you just stop earning money and you stop making videos and essentially quit your job. So moved back to England, which is another thing I've seen people speculate about, because obviously everyone was used to seeing my cats and everything all over the videos and things. They're like, oh, Kira's a bad person, he left his cats in Thailand, blah blah blah. Didn't. I paid like 10 grand to bring them back. They're international traveling kitties. There's a cat bed here on my desk. You're not going to see them because currently my partner is doing an exam, so they're downstairs locked in the kitchen because they're loud. If they're not in your room with you, they just scream. And I mean, one of them screams all the time anyway. He's just a very loud boy. But yeah, brought them back with me. They're here, they're downstairs, they're all good. They've been here the whole time. They came back on the same plane with us as we came back. I even ended up staying in Thailand for like 3 months extra just to get around like the rabies law in the UK for importing animals. You have to have them microchipped before a certain date and things, and they hadn't been. So that it ended up costing me like 20 grand or something to bring those cats back, which is wild. And all my furniture's still on a shipping container somewhere, which hopefully ends up coming before Christmas. But yeah, I came back to England. I've been here for a few months now. Things are, fine here. It is what it is. But my brother asked me like 2 days ago, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to get another job? Are you going to start making YouTube videos again? And then he said a bunch of stuff like, you were good at what you did, you know, people appreciated it, and you had a niche and you could go back to that niche. And what I said was essentially it's just hard to find passion for doing something when the every time I think about uploading a video or looking into something or posting something that's about another person or another company or whatever, I just think back to the stress, the tens of thousands of dollars in lawsuits, the harassment, the hate, and things like that. And it's just, is that really worth it at this stage in my life? Is it really worth doing? And I go back and forth, honestly. Maybe it is. There's a bunch of stuff I still look into. I still have notes on a bunch of things. I still have people send me things to look into or send me information on stuff that I have done previously or leads on things to look into. And also I think back to when I was making videos before I left for Thailand, where I just had such a good time. It was so fun. It was such a enrichment of my life. This community that sprung up around this thing that I did, and how much I enjoyed it and how much I enjoyed YouTube in general. And obviously I'd like to get back there at some point, and baby steps maybe, I'll be posting some videos, but I think things are going to have to change. Things are going to have to change if I'm going to return. It just is what it is. And I'm sure this won't really matter for a bunch of people, but I'm probably going to go back to the Kira TV as the main channel and not just do video essays on there. Either that, or I'm basically just going to stop prioritizing content on that channel and only post videos when I'm really happy with them being made, and just post more, scripted stuff on this channel that's got some editing done to it, and just do whatever and see how it goes. Because at this point, why not? Having said that, the idea of coming back to gaming YouTube, making gaming reviews and MMO stuff, which, is my life at this point. Magic the Gathering, my partner, my cats, my family, my friends, and video games, not in any order, of course, I'm just listing things. Those things are all I do. Like, since I've been gone, what do you think I've been doing? I've been playing Magic, spending time with friends and family, and playing video games. Like, that's literally all I do. Watch movies and stuff like that, I guess, as well. Movies and TV shows, and read books. But that's basically my entire life. So the concept of, like, having some barrier to talking about these things I'm so passionate about is weird, but at the same time it exists. And it's not just because all the stuff I talked about before. Gaming specifically right now is just kind of in a weird state on social media. And
Huh. I wonder what community he's talking about that's constantly attacking him. This is what I mean, like, these are supposed to be our moral superiors that they fucking browbeat and fucking harass people until they lose their passion and will to contribute to the world. Jesus Christ, man. That's so sad.
and making content around it, because it's almost impossible to avoid the noise of this whole culture war shit, and it's infected the mind of some of my favorite content creators who I can no longer watch, and made me really disappointed in a bunch of people that they either really believe this stuff or they're just using it as a way to enrich themselves or get social media clout or whatever. And everything comes down to the culture war. Everything comes down to, oh, it's woke, it's, DEI, sweet baby, all this stuff. And if I come back to make videos about games, it wouldn't be me, and it would be a disservice to how I think about myself and content that I've made in the past to not talk about that stuff, because it is so prevalent. And that's just going to breed a bunch more hate, because I think obviously a lot of the narrative surrounding these things is utterly ridiculous. Not going to go massively into detail on that point, but it is what it is, So making videos about modern video games is a minefield for just getting really unhinged people involved in your life and upset at you because you don't feel the same way that they do about things that realistically don't really matter in anybody's life, because the video games industry is bigger than it's ever been. It grows every year. there's more options, there's more games, there's more great experiences from indie, single A, double A, triple A, quadruple A, as Ubisoft would like to put it, than ever before. And focusing so much on something that is completely irrelevant in the grand scheme of things when you could just be playing and enjoying the other stuff seems like a complete waste, but it seems like the thing everyone wants to do now on social media. And obviously that's probably hypocritical or rich coming from me, who spent a bunch of time covering games that are bad or doing bad things. But I do think there's a little bit of a difference there, and usually it's not for outrage, usually it's for entertainment, and obviously a lot of the times is somebody doing something fraudulent or scammy, or just an interesting story. But either way, I think I probably rambled on this one a lot. I have so many videos to upload. Like, I have a bunch of main channel videos that I'm going to upload, maybe one tonight. There's a video probably going to come up just after this one about North Korean hackers in cryptocurrency on this channel. And the thing is that it's not even like I've not recorded videos, because for this channel specifically, like React style, like I'm going to put on a camera and talk about stuff, probably 3 times a week I'll turn my camera on, talk about whatever the current popular topic is, edit the video, export it, and then I'll just never upload it. There's literally dozens of them just in this month alone that I've just never uploaded. I guess not this month because it's December 2nd now, but you know what I mean, like in the last 30 days. So yeah, maybe I'll start uploading those videos, we'll see. But there's definitely going to be some changes. This week I'm going to speak to my editor about what we're going to do, and probably just going to change things around. The videos coming up on the main channel are going to have me on camera again on them, and we'll see what we do with this one. But I'm not saying it's going to go back to me uploading all the time, whether or not people are bothered about any of that stuff or whatever. And we'll just see what happens, I guess, because at this point I'd love to have YouTube back in my life, but at the same time, the amount of stress it brings, and with my health problems already, like, stress exacerbates everything and makes everything considerably worse. So we'll see. But as for now, gonna go back to playing classic WoW, gonna go back to playing RuneScape, old school RuneScape, gonna go back to playing Magic, and maybe I'll talk about some of those things in a video or whatever. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this answered some of your questions. If you do have any questions, feel free to join the Discord. I'm considering opening it back up to the public again without manual verification, because it seems like I think maybe some of those communities have kind of moved on and forgotten about stuff now, and maybe it's safe to do so, at least until it happens again, which inevitably, if I make content, it will. But yeah, thanks, I guess. Hopefully this did answer some questions.
Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 1 million awakening wonders and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. The Captain America trilogy from the MCU is unquestionably its best, and a good argument could be made that it's the best superhero trilogy of all time, featuring the criminally underrated First Avenger, directed by Joe Johnston, followed by the Russo brothers' Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which is widely considered one of the MCU's best films, and Captain America Civil War, which isn't far behind. It's the best because it's the most consistent, and I can hear you now, Nolan fans. No, Dark Knight Rises is not a good movie. And despite my major problems with Endgame, including Steve Rogers f***ing off to the past and sitting out every major American event for the last 50 years, including but not limited to the assassination of the Kennedys, the Vietnam War, the Iran hostage crisis, 9/11, a move that is antithetical to everything Steve Rogers as a hero was all about, the trilogy holds up and it reminds you of better days. Okay, to be fair, considering who Steve Rogers f***ed off for, there is a justifiable argument to be made. Anyway, after all that, despite the last 2 Captain America films completely centered around Bucky, leading to what we thought would be a redemption arc mirroring what happened in the comics, didn't. Instead, Steve Rogers handed his shield to Sam Wilson, leading to one of the dumbest decisions, of which there are many, Disney Marvel could come up with: a Captain America sequel without Captain America. Oh, but it doesn't end there, because Captain America 4 is in truth a sequel to a D+ show. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the people who did watch it, which is a much smaller percentage comparatively than the people who watched the movies, aren't going to remember it. So let me remind you, what could have been an introspective show on Bucky's recovery mixed with a fun buddy cop adventure turned into a lecture on race relations in America and the evils of capitalism, with brilliant scenes like Sam Wilson being unable to get a loan for his fishing boat and a dancing Baron Zemo, featuring the villains, the mass murdering flag smashers, or as they're better described as Antifa, whose sole purpose is to keep all the stuff they stole during the blip. And don't even get me started on how much Disney Marvel screwed that one up. They are led by Freckle Jesus, who's so deified that after she's killed by Sharon Carter because Sam Wilson couldn't do it because you don't want to perpetuate violence against women, she's carried off like some murdered messiah, which leads to, quite frankly, the only memorable thing about this show, a meme.
You've got to do better, Senator.
Oh, and John Walker did nothing wrong. Anyway, after
Hey,
Wilson couldn't do it because you don't want to perpetuate violence against women, she's carried off like some murdered messiah, which leads to, quite frankly, the only memorable thing about this show, a meme.
You've got to do better, Senator.
Oh, and John Walker did nothing wrong. Anyway, after this forgettable disaster, Captain America 4 was announced and it was all downhill from there. Initially titled Captain America New World Order, this was quickly abandoned because that was a term used by conspiracy theorists, or as I like to call them, people who correctly predicted events. It was retitled Captain America Brave New World and shot in 2023 and then reshot in 2024. Almost entirely, and not because of test screenings, it didn't even make it past the internal screenings at Disney Marvel. So why is Captain African American in the news again? Well, according to rumor, there was some poor test screenings leading to more reshoots. Now let's keep in mind that 99% of the scoopers' scoops are full of poop. I mean, these are the same people who reported this banger via Daniel RPK. An untitled Marvel Studio film will reportedly start filming in the UK in fall of 2025. Why, thank you for telling us that Marvel might shoot a movie sometime in the near future. Now, they could have had some poor test screenings leading to more reshoots, or they might be just going through the normal editing process. I have no idea, but it doesn't change the fact that Captain America 4 is doomed, and it was from the start. Why? Well, to state the obvious, which is something admittedly we do a lot here on YouTube, a Captain America sequel without Captain America is
not a great plan.
I mean, how did that Black Panther sequel do without Black Panther? But it made a lot of money at the box office. And it did. It made $859 million worldwide, which was was about $15 million less than Batman vs. Superman. Oh, and $500 million less than its predecessor, Black Panther, that actually had Black Panther in it. And it doesn't help that the movie sucked so much that we haven't heard a word about it since, but it did come out at a time arguably when Disney Marvel still had some shine to it. But unfortunately for them, times change. Because Captain Black Falcon America Brave New World needs to do Wakanda Forever numbers just to break even due to its reported $400 million budget. Another reason Captain America 4 was doomed from the start was the entire concept of Sam Wilson being Captain America. But Sam was Captain America in the comics. My point exactly. Sam Wilson became Captain America in the mid-2010s, being a part of the ill-fated all new, all different
But I'm having issues with the audio. I need a microphone. That's the biggest fucking problem. Is I need a fucking microphone.
Marvel, an era that gave us race swaps, gender swaps, characters randomly turning gay. It gave us Ironheart, Captain Falcon America, Nazi Cap, and Carol Danvers Captain Marvel, or as better described, Carl Manvers. That led to Marvel editor Axel Alonso getting fired. Meanwhile, over at DC, they were doing their best to destroy their characters, and the industry has yet to recover.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
And instead of learning from that real-time market research that involved actual comic fans, Disney Marvel, in their infinite wisdom, decided to bypass decades of brilliant storytelling that sold in the millions to adapt books that sold in the thousands and were eventually canceled, including a lot that featured Sam Wilson's Captain America. And wouldn't you know, despite there being a lot of highly paid decision makers over at Disney Marvel at best willfully ignoring the growing fan outcry, or at worst, gaslighting the fans, their forced and unforced heirs all blew up in their face with the Marvels. And after that undeniable flop, it turns out a lot of them don't work there anymore. And history repeats itself, and the only question left is, Can Disney Marvel dig themselves out of a hole that Disney Marvel Comics couldn't? And yes, Disney Marvel is still in a hole despite the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, unless all the Captain America 4 reshoots include inserting Deadpool and calling it Deadpool Brave New World. I digress. The other problem with Captain African American is the entire concept of the film. Aside from the fact that his costume just looks goofy, it looks like it was designed by a 6-year-old, and what the hell happens if his shield ricochets and clips off one of his wings? And let's not forget, Sam Wilson's Falcon doesn't have any superpowers. Now, I was told by somebody at Marvel one of the biggest problems they had with the film was Sam Wilson fighting the Red Hulk. Listen, unpopular opinion, the Red Hulk is stupid. Once we found out it was, sorry, spoilers, General Ross, I was done. It was dumb in the comics, and it's dumb in the movies. Again, from somebody inside Marvel, I was told one of the problems they had was the Red Hulk punching Sam Wilson in the shield. The shield would be fine, but he would be jelly. I guess it didn't get cut because here it is on the poster. Then there's the whole problem with Sabra, the Israeli superhero who's also Mossad. Due to a conflict overseas and a conflict within Hollywood, they're forced to retcon her a little bit by almost completely changing her, which to be fair has been the only consistent thing with Disney Marvel since Endgame. Now, I was also told by my friend at Marvel that while the reshoots did improve the film slightly, it's still going to be the most expensive polished turd ever made, which at this point I'm sure comes as a surprise to absolutely no one. But this is what happens when you play the game of identity politics. And considering recent events, that era is not just gone, it's long gone. And while some at Disney Marvel recognized this, many did not, and they're gonna think that the world changed overnight when in truth, you were just forced to accept reality. Particularly in the last 15 or 20 years, when a character's mantle is passed down or their race or gender swapped, it's a combination of 3 things: avoiding rights issues, virtue signaling, and laziness. With Sam Wilson being past the shield, it's the latter too. I got a question. Why give the second black costume superhero in Marvel Comics history, the Falcon, hand-me-downs? How is that progress? Personally, I prefer the Falcon rocking a couple of Uzis. I could see him leading the Avengers. I have no problem with Anthony Mackie. I think he's been really good, and quite frankly, he was the most charming and charismatic thing on the stage during that whole presentation at Comic-Con. And let's not forget that Captain America 4 is being released during February of 2025. Black History Month, so they can repeat the success of the Black Panther marketing because Disney Marvel has no shame. Let me ask you this, what's a better story, having Sam Wilson as Captain America in some weird Wakandan hybrid Iron Man suit fighting random Hulk villains, or loosely adapting Brubaker's work and having Bucky as Cap fight the Red Skull? Well, it looks like one of those stories is going to lose a lot of money, and one of them might have made some. Now, I don't think Captain America Brave New World is going to be as big a flop as, say, the Marvels, because quite frankly, it has better actors. And as always, I could be wrong. Maybe it makes $1 billion, and I hope it does because it's going to need to. But based on everything we've heard and seen so far, it's not looking good. Now, concepts like passing down the mantle have worked many times in the comics, even with legacy characters like Sam Wilson, mostly because we knew Steve Rogers was coming back. But changing a major legacy character solely based on identity never works. So as Hollywood is forced to change, maybe they'll listen to the wise words of my good friend Clifton Duncan. While this was meant for multiple industries, I want you to listen closely to this one, Disney Marvel. If artists stopped focusing on what makes the classics problematic and started focusing on what makes the classics classic, there'd be way less slop to watch, read, and listen to today. If Captain America Brave New World does indeed underperform or even flop at the box office like I suspect it will be for this one reason. It doesn't have Captain America. If you want to get some engagement on X, I mean, aside from typing Miles Morales is Miles Morales, try this. Steve Rogers is Captain America, an objective truth. I don't make the rules, I just make the observations.
Nerderotic.com.
If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today we've got a pretty serious video to make. Throughout my career, people make mistakes and there's accountability to be taken, and I am not shy to taking real accountability to actual mistakes. Now the thing about this is, obviously I can upload these kind of videos onto secondary platforms, but I really think for full effect I should always upload to the main platform and really talk to you guys in a full level-headed way. Now, I have a Reddit board known as Some Ordinary Gamers, and you can post whatever memes and things you want all day, every day. But one of the clips that I saw, one of the things shared, was resurfaced video of Oompaville, Some Ordinary Gamers, and Nuxtaku watching Loli together on a Discord call. So when I see this kind of stuff, it blows me, and obviously it flashbangs anybody, and I want to definitely have a talk about it and really explain to you exactly what this is, what it's about, give you my side of the perspective, and again, take accountability where accountability needs to be fucking taken. Now, I've had a pretty hardcore stance against things like loli, and obviously I don't want to be contributing to watching that kind of content or normalizing it in any fashion. So in this situation, obviously I looked at some of these clips and I want to explain what's happening and completely condemn it too, because as somebody that is 1000% against this kind of stuff, I don't want to be, again, normalizing it in any capacity. Now, for people who don't know, Oompaville and Nuxtaku were former members of the Some Ordinary podcast, which obviously ended 3 to 4 months ago. Now, I get to talk about that a little bit after I discuss all of this, because there's some lore about it that I can finally really discuss. And it should shed to light exactly what really happened with the podcast, because it's pretty independent of this. But to go back to it, Nuxtaku is a former collaborator, a former friend of mine, and I mean really a former friend of mine, because some of the stuff that I've seen over here is disgusting enough that I really can't continue a friendship, and I really can't, again, excuse some of my behavior watching some of this content as well. So this video that was uploaded with, again, Nuxtaku as Jeffrey Epstein and me as, I assume, Ghislaine Maxwell over here, Mutahar Nunt, right? So obviously in this clip, or in this video, there is a pretty big clip of me, Nuxtaku, and Quite, and Caleb basically watching and reviewing hentai together. Now, while all three of us were present in this video, this is a section from me, right? Now, obviously, these videos, according to how this video is played, was uploaded on YouTube. Now, for full context, when it comes to recording stuff, this was 3 years ago, so I don't remember everything done onto it. I don't think anybody can remember something they did 3 years ago, especially when you make videos nearly every day. But in this collaboration, Nux doesn't really give any preparation material. We kind of just jump in and record stuff and then send it over to his editors or himself over Discord. But in this situation, he showed us a channel known as Henty Boy, right? Which again, this is a video known as Hentai Thick Girl, very unknown, very small viewership, but as you can see right over here, right, this is all uploaded to YouTube. And even when you look at the upload date for this, August 2020, around Nux's actual video, which would have been uploaded like January of, or the end of January of like 2021, the channel pretty much remained dormant over here, but it was pretty much an unknown channel that slipped under YouTube's moderation. I don't even think that channel exists anymore, because with the amount of attention raised through Nux's initial video, it probably is completely removed and has actually been banned off of the platform. And again, when I was working with Nux, a lot of the things we did talk about was being anti-loli in that situation. And Nux very much made it clear to me that he was anti this stuff as well too, and he still maintains it to this day. But the kind of stuff that he showed us was anime ni summer. Now, inside the video, inside Nux's presentation, it kind of came off as like just a cursed little hentai. And the reality of it is, I never really watched his collaboration, but if you take the name that ni summer has had and put it into my anime list, which I realistically should have done at the time, you can see the synopsis is Yuta Yamayuchi is a average high school student, right? So right there, I'm not going to play the whole semantics, oh, is this really loli game? Like, I don't even care if somebody is like 18 or on the cusp of like turning 19. At the end of the day, high school can very much involve a minor. And when you scroll down and go to the information, it is a OVA by a studio known as Rabbitgate with no licensors, but the genre is in fact hentai. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if it's hentai and it involves high school people, it does in fact fall under the loli banner, and that is never okay in any capacity. Now, obviously, these videos existing on YouTube kind of, again, led us to some credence that maybe it wasn't, you know, this like borderline illicit material. But again, these were also smaller YouTube channels, so chances are they probably weren't swept up under the YouTube moderation, which is something that also should have really been considered from my end. It should have been something that I never watched in the first place. I should have never, condoned. And honestly, it's pretty shitty to even contribute to somewhat normalizing this material. When there's a lot of large creators that work with the person, you tend to have this level of like authority brought into it. And there is obviously a blind spot.
Damn, he really is just speedrunning, destroying his career. That kind of sucks too, because I miss his fucking old school.
When this is somebody that you consider to be a friend at the time, and obviously when you work with that person and you see other large creators that you're also friends with work with that person, it just again swells up that blind spot that you make. But again, no real excuses over there. You shouldn't really have a blind spot in the first place. And again, it's not only me being a poor judge of character, but I should have absolutely have spotted this years ago. So for that, I absolutely own up to my fuck up here. But again, I don't think this is literally us gooning together watching Loli in this manner. This is a collaboration where it happens pretty much on the fly, and it's not, representative of the kind of shit that I consume on a daily basis or anything of that nature. Like, I would never willingly and honestly, like, watch something like this, out of nowhere. This is just insane, and I wanted to really bring this up and bring this into the context of what this clip was and why we had watched this kind of stuff. And any jokes that I make in these situations, really any jokes that anybody makes in collaborations like this, is usually because everyone's just playing into the high shock factor of something like this. Does that excuse any behavior? Absolutely not.
And he showed us something very weird, and I remember getting somewhat upset about it and not liking it that much. It was me, him, and Quite. I want to say it was something involving a dog too, but I
Exactly.
Probably 900-year-old cum vamp for far too long.
These are the four horsemen of the apocalypse we're looking at right now. This is like some mythological.
They've been around since long before civilization.
Exactly.
Wait, you showed in those videos?
This is the 5 rules of the Onami household.
Okay.
These are the little sisters, by the way.
Okay, this is a hentai?
First rule, hug your little sister every day.
Okay, it's fine, okay. It's just hug her for at least 10 seconds. There's nothing wrong with the hug. Yeah, it's fine.
No, the third rule isn't any weirder, so you don't have to worry.
Oh. But in this situation, I just wanted to provide you the context of all of this, right? This wasn't us sitting together watching Loli, just on like the off time. This is a collaboration for one of Nux's main channel videos. And at the time, really nobody thought about it. But we should have. So a lot of these big creators, you can start to see like really big names. Obviously, Project Melody, Critical, MXR Plays. I don't know if that's actually Iron Mouse, but yeah, you can see plenty of creators that Nux has worked with. And for a while, there's been plenty of collaborations where like big creators jump on, they get shown like crazy shit, crazy hentai, or sometimes participate in like, games, game shows, so to speak. And that's really the extent of it. Nux is a pretty big collaborator in that space. And realistically, I kind of just walked around expecting him on good faith when he said that, he's pretty anti-Loli and obviously wouldn't have shown us anything that would be very adjacent to it. And obviously, with a lot of these larger creators also collaborating with him, I'm sorry to say it really did blindside me. There was a bias, call it, friendship bias, call it, there was other creators working on it, but really it was something that I was putting up a blind spot to, and I'm not using that as an excuse. I really shouldn't have done that collaboration, and I really shouldn't have watched that content, and if any way contributed to normalizing it. I 100% obviously condemn Loli, and I 100% condemned my actions in that situation. But again, one of the reasons why I do really want to address this is I don't like obviously reading the facts that I am some level of a pedo or a defender of this or anything. I have made plenty of videos crapping on individuals and burning a bridge with creators who I don't necessarily agree with. if I have ever at any point normalized their actions. People like Mama Max, where I did stick up for, amongst plenty of other creators. But I think obviously if really bad information comes out and new information comes out, you have to publicly correct it. You have to publicly explain, updates to a situation. I could swipe this stuff under the rug, but I choose to upload it on the main channel because I think that's really where taking accountability is at. I don't want to pretend like I am just burying my head in the sand. This was a wrong thing for me to do, and 100% I own up to it completely. So one of the things that I don't agree with is a lot of the over-sexualization in the thumbnails, right? So there were actually collections of thumbnails collected in these videos where things were pretty NSFW, all right? Or at least they were highly sexualized. But even that isn't as bad as one of the examples that I want to show you. Now, if you're looking at this video called Cursed Speedrun Fails, this was uploaded 3 years ago, and if you're looking at the thumbnail, it is XQC screaming at some video game with Nux's VTuber in the corner and going, what the fuck? Now, the thing is, the problem with this situation is the thumbnail that came before is absolutely filthy. So this one video where, again, the thumbnail is different, XQC is still very much in the corner. You can see a speedrunning timer. You can see Nux's character, his avatar, right here on the right side. But the middle that I'm blurring especially involves a dog bending over and inserting themselves into what appears to be a female character. So obviously this has nothing to do with the actual content. It's just a hypersexualized thumbnail. Now, even with a thumbnail like that, it had nothing to do with anything hypersexualized, so I don't know why we had to insert zoophilia into like a speedrunning thumbnail. To me, it makes no sense.
Fucking hate the Taco situation spiraling out of control. Sucks to suck, but damn.
Sense, but obviously, looking through a larger collection of these thumbnails that were uploaded on numerous other channels covering this topic, yeah, it really is a pattern that back in the day, and Nux even touched upon this, that, years ago, that this was something they did, whether it be for some form of clickbait or, capture, or something that was normalized in the anime community. Any form of zoophilia, any form of, hentai like this, or hypersexualization, or, if you even insert, like, loli into this thumbnail, for instance, that's not okay. And obviously these are things that, if you slightly change in the background, it's going to rub people the wrong way. You should really just be upfront and honest. And honestly, you should never even have done this in the first place. But yeah, this is one of those things that kind of like obviously was brought up, and it's one thing that I wanted to address as one of the principal reasons as to why this isn't okay. But I think a even bigger reason is one of these situations regarding another creator known as Bungo Taiga, which is a character, a creator that also had their entire YouTube channel pretty much terminated for nudity and sexual content policy. Now, to preface, also going in forward into this video, I don't know much more about Bungo Taiga other than what I'm about to read here for you, and again, just covering this one specific case. So I don't know what level of degeneracy, if anything, this person also falls into, so don't consider anything that I'm saying as a co-signing of this individual. I'm looking at a very hyper-specific event in this point in time. I just want to make that readily apparent. So to go over a bit of their controversy, in summer 2022, Taiga was accused of grooming. They made a twit longer where they reviewed the allegations and called them false. Later, an updated Google Doc was created that had evidence that not only were these allegations fake, they were deliberately created by ex-moderators and spread by a stalker of Taiga. So again, this is the Google Doc in question. Now again, I have no idea about this controversy whatsoever. I'm only bringing this up because it was actually a big point of contention for someone like Nux. So even the actual person, Taiga Holic, actually ended up making like a 57-minute like piece where they kind of went over this and really were just grilling Nux for not really correcting the record. The record had to be corrected because in this situation, Nux literally made a video where he was showcasing controversies to a popular creator known as Penguin Zero. Now inside this, he actually goes out and says, "Hey all, I edited out the Bungo Taiga segment of this video. Although I state in the video itself a disclaimer that I do not know the full story and to not take what I say too seriously, I would rather not be a cause for possible misinformation floating around now that new information was revealed. I'm still in the dark on a lot of details as I heard both sides of this event and don't know what to think. I'm sorry if I caused any undue harm." So I personally apologize to Taiga for their side, and they discussed my plan going forward. I hope the truth comes out, be it guilty or innocent, but I intend to set the record straight in the future when I understand the situation. So it's wild as fuck that we're covering pretty serious stories like this, but we don't have the entire story, or at least enough to make a video. That is basically how you bring on actual misinformation. So in this story, Taiga did not appear to be too happy with this entire situation. They actually talked about it again in that bot I brought up, Nuxtaku Can't Stop Lying.
You think I deplatformed him? People are blaming me for deplatforming him? He got banned for sexual content. But you're blaming me for deplatforming him? Destroyed his life? You think I destroyed his life when the video where I talked about apologizing for it has more views than the video where I originally mentioned it, like, as a throwaway sentence? Over false allegations? I didn't make any allegations. I said what someone else said, and I was wrong to do that. But, like, there are so many comments like this everywhere.
I don't particularly think that was ever a great response in the situation. Like, yes, just because you regurgitated what somebody else said, when it comes to something this serious, it probably should have been something that you were 100% on the money for. It's a pretty massive fuck-up, and it's not a fuck-up that you can just, put in a pinned comment or a, side channel that people, may or may not see. At the end of the day, when it involves something incredibly serious, like, incredibly serious, like sexual assault stuff, you should 100% correct the record and make a actual real, it doesn't have to be like you slapping yourself in the face in front of it. It just really has to be a sincere apology that, again, you post on a main channel. The reason I'm doing this video, for instance, on a main channel is because I really do want to set the record straight. I really don't have anything to hide, and to be honest with you, when it comes to a situation like this, it's best that I set the record straight with my community. I'm not ashamed of involving people that wouldn't know about it. I don't really want to hide things under a rug because I have nothing to hide. At the end of the day, that to me is more shady. I've called people out for really bad behavior, and I think this is probably some of the worst that I've seen, especially when it comes to reporting on something that you probably never should have in the first place, especially when it would have cost somebody, a lot of issues down the road, right? Even the comment section over here isn't entirely happy about the situation, because obviously they say if you know how the internet works, then you'll know why that little clip can end a career of somebody. You said it, people are calling other people's stuff, but it never gets to somewhere because they don't have to reach to. But if some idiot with almost 800k subs, it doesn't matter if 1 million people see it. At least 1/8 of them are going to clip it and repost it. Which is really true. If you make a serious fuck up like that, I think not only is removing the video a big problem, but you really got to go onto your main channel and address these situations. If you make a fuck up, especially one where you inadvertently end up slandering somebody, you got to cover for that. And the reason I also bring this situation up is I don't condone any situation where people are this mishandling with the truth, right? It's never good in my opinion, and I cannot ever work with somebody or, again, be friendly with somebody who has made a mistake like this, because ultimately it's fine to make mistakes, but to really just let it fester for this long without actually making right on it, because, again, if you ignore something on the internet long enough, there's a good chance that it'll go away, right? If I ignored this whole situation with my fuck up, it would probably have gone away, but that would be very hypocritical of me to do, and that's not something I want to contribute to, at least on my time on the internet. I also feel that for this one person having some exoneration on a channel, where at least if they weren't guilty of really heinous crimes, at least they get their word out, which at least happened over here. So now I want to move on to something related to our podcast. Now, at the time when we were looking at this whole situation, one of the things that conveniently also occurred along the time of the Some Ordinary podcast ending was the Shadman leaks coming out to the entire world. A lot of creators back in 2016 would contact and discuss things with Shadman, right? Now, Shadman is a pretty infamous creator that I have very much condemned. This is somebody that has drawn actual lolicon material of real individuals, real children, one of those children being Keemstar's kid, and has basically been an open degenerate in the community. Now, the thing is, a lot of creators ended up being friendly with the guy. A lot of people contacted them, and one of them ended up being Nux Taku, who Nux had at the time said, hey, probably this guy, right? A bit too middle school. You know, when Shadman is saying a bit too middle school, that I want to collab. LMAO, no, but your heart's in the right place. Understandable, have a nice day. Now, when I asked Nux about this, obviously in a call, he pretty much told me that this was going to be an interview where he was going to troll and, grill Shadman. Now, obviously it didn't happen, so I can't confirm or deny if this was actually going to be the truth. But the thing about it is obviously as this was happening, this was on the consideration of the podcast ending. So I was on somebody's channel known as Chud Logic, who actually talked about the situation. I actually ended up going onto his channel and saying something that I probably shouldn't have, because this situation regarding the podcast was very fluid. And I'll explain that in a bit. But I want you to hear this clip so I can better explain it and also acknowledge a fuck up I made. That's never okay.
Okay. Are you going to keep him off the podcast?
No, we would cancel the podcast. It's not happening. The podcast is done.
This is hard because obviously, people want me
podcast is done. Yeah, podcast is done now.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the podcast is over. We are not filming the last episode. It's over.
Is that are you serious?
Yeah, we're not doing the podcast anymore. It's done.
Why?
We're supposed to film on Tuesday. Well, there's a couple reasons for it. A lot of that was obviously some of the Shad stuff too, because we were kind of sitting there, we're like, me and Caleb, we were just like, this is, I don't know, it's weird. The other thing was we just want to redo things maybe like 2 months down the road or something. So this is a pretty big point and one that I can finally really discuss. Now, obviously, if you listen to that, it kind of sounds like I'm snaking him. I give him an answer where it says, there's a lot of reasons, but a lot of it is the Shadman stuff, which at the time, as this was kind of breaking down, everyone in the community was going, whoa, 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 you're connecting with this guy, you're talking to him. Yeah, that kind of was one thing that was brought up. But obviously in a call that, I guess I had with Nux personally, this was discussed as like a collaboration effort. There was another huge thing that I wasn't really privy to discuss at the time. Now, the podcast ended for, again, us not actually owning any of it. So to give you an idea about how it works, right, the company that I was with at the time, the management company, Nano Zebra, they managed my channel and specifically Oompaville's channel. Now, if you notice towards the tail end of the podcast, Oompaville really wasn't showing up for a lot of episodes. There was actually a point where it would be like 1 week out of the month he would actually make an appearance. And it wasn't because, all of a sudden there was some falling out between us or anything. It was that there was really a behind-the-scenes issue with Nano Zebra and how some of the things on the podcast was done. I believe payment wasn't really necessarily brought towards Oompaville, and they had another deal that wasn't really met well. Now, at the time, me, Oompaville, Isaiah, Tom, Brandon were out filming in Texas, and Wendigoon actually brings up, how things are going over at Mana.gg, another talent agency. So me and Caleb kind of get a little pitch out of it, and we basically want to work with this Mana group because they're going to do a lot more things in the future that would help us with ventures we want going into our channel into 2025 and beyond. So me and Caleb effectively just cut ties with Nano Zebra. We fill in our resignations, and we move on to Mana, and this happened around 3 to 4 months ago. So as this happened, the podcast was under management and, again, I believe partial, if not near full ownership of Nano Zebra. So at the time, it was like, hey, what do we do about this podcast, right? Do we fight for rights for it? And obviously, not really. You don't need to. If you're the main talent, the 3 big people, you are the draw for the show. So it really became a situation where me and Caleb said, yeah, fuck it. We'll just make a new show, and we'll move it to a new location, hopefully something IRL, obviously, where, it kind of has more of a professional feel, and one that we can obviously manage better. The podcast wasn't the perfect managed podcast ever. There was moments where guests would show up literally last minute, and a lot of those guests actually did come because of Nux's massive collaborative efforts. Some of the guests I brought, some of the guests Caleb brought, but it was not something where we even had a docket for a lot of the shows, right? It was really just we showed up, we yapped. The yapping wasn't exactly structured, and there were some episodes you could probably look at and realize they were pretty fucking phoned in. So at the end of the day, the podcast ended pretty inconveniently timed with this whole Shadman stuff. Now, obviously, you know, we did, or at least I looked into the Nux stuff myself too, the Shadman stuff, because there wasn't really any collaboration, never really went anywhere. It didn't become the, you know, sole focus reason. But yeah, the actual reasons for why this podcast ended were a lot of boring business stuff. We just didn't own it. So it was a lot better for us to make a new podcast, make an entirely new name out of it, and me and Caleb can move that going forward. And obviously, somebody else can come on that is not Nux, but you understand now the real situation. Now, at the time, I couldn't really bring this up because when you're leaving a contract, when you're leaving a company and you're going to a new company, you really don't want to disparage somebody, not because it's not the legal thing to do, but also it's just not something you want to do, right? It's just not really professional at all. You don't want to disparage another company. You don't want to like go out and, you know, make things look worse than they really are. It really was a pretty amicable breakup. We left, we moved to a new company, and underneath that new company, or really under our company, we're going to bring back this podcast with obviously, you know, different branding and whatnot. So that's really the fucking boring answer that it took me months to really tell you. And it took me months because now I've completely severed ties with Nano Zebra, and I've been with Mana GG for, I want to say 3 months at this point, like officially signed on. So yeah, that's really the answer. Now, in the case of Chud Logic, who did in fact take the words that I had put out and had relayed them, he really felt that I kind of snaked him and gave him misinformation or outright lied to him. And the reality of it is, honestly, the situation was just so fluid at the time that we didn't even know that things like the last episode were going to be filmed, right? And ultimately, that last episode did end up getting filmed, so things kind of did end on a, you know, regular note. But when it came to Chud, there's definitely an apology that I feel I should give there, right? Like, I could argue this and I could keep fighting it, but at the end of the day, I do feel that, obviously, if what I have said has led to some wronging for another person, then I am not above an apology. Look, I'm not too big to fail or too egotistical to realize when what I've done can have consequences for other people, and for that I do humbly apologize. And that's really where I want to kind of leave things at. So, you know, sorry, Chud. Now, one comment that I saw on Reddit that I want to address too, because obviously this is a pretty good reflection of somebody that is very properly critical of me, right? Somebody that is actually hitting me with hard questions. So one user, Nostra Clonoa, says, personally, if you're asking me, I think it's weird that you don't look into the background history of your friends and the people you're just perfectly fine platforming. Again, we kind of did a podcast together. Everyone was a sizable creator. I don't really think that it is specifically me platforming, right? This is just 3 larger creators at the time. You allowed Mama Max to run rampant for years. Again, I wasn't the only large creator that worked with Mama Max or collaborated or, you know, at some point patted him on the back. The reality of it is there was plenty of creators. I was just one of the guys that came out and really absolutely threw him through the ringer, as I'm doing with Nux with this condemnation, and again, an explanation as to my side of the situation. The reality of it is I don't have to come out and make these videos, but I choose to because I believe being accountable is important, and I'd be a total hypocrite because I call other people out on crazy shit, and if I'm willing to completely sweep things under the rug and pretend like things don't exist, or show you actual things, then I am a pretty big fucking hypocrite on my own. So you blindly believe the allegations against Magnetar, which I apologize for, especially. You blindly believe the Night Docs was a creep, and you blindly let a guy like Nuxtaku openly discuss and show freak shit in his thumbnails. Again, I don't control another person and their YouTube account, so I don't know what I can do with their thumbnails. But again, it's something that I do condemn, especially when these thumbnails are slightly changed. Again, I don't think they should have ever been used in the first place, and I don't want to work with somebody that believed these thumbnails were a good choice in the first place. You actively don't look into the folks you trust, and you just blindly allow them to say whatever without having critical thought about a single bit of it. So again, I don't really watch a lot of content creators that I collaborate with, and nobody really does, okay? Like at the end of the day, when it came to Nux's channel, here I'm signed on with my actual YouTube account, and if it's one thing that you'll see, usually under videos there'll be like a red bar. I don't have a red bar under basically any of these videos. I think the only video I have an actual red bar in this is probably I showed YouTubers the most cultured clips, which I actually browsed through just for the sake of, again, this video. So yeah, Nux is somebody that I did a podcast with, but it's not that I watched any of this content beforehand, right? Again, this was somebody that was very popular in a community of people beyond just anime and VTubing, and it led some credibility. And again, the only reason I'm making this video now is to take accountability and to really, again, condemn the behavior that this person actually exhibited. Again, that's really the reality of it. Even if you look at other friends of mine like Oompaville, you can see literally I watch the content that I'm interested in, right? Like Mr. Beast's response, him saying he's retiring, Foozy crash outs, a sad AI situation, Smart Schoolboy 9. These are things that I actually watch, right? Guys like Wendigoon, great friend, love Isaiah. But I think the only video out of his that I've watched is probably the disturbing and controversial video game Iceberg, and more specifically, Faith 3D. Isaiah is more a video gaming YouTuber for me, especially when he covers things like this. And this goes for a lot of my favorite YouTube friends, okay? I like Moist Critical, don't watch every single Charlie video out there. In fact, I don't really watch much of YouTubers unless it comes to really, really specific things like speedrunning or, I don't know, 4-hour-long video game retrospectives. And again, this isn't really a defense. I most definitely should have actually been vetting people. And that's why going into, again, the future of my channel, I definitely want to keep collaborations to a minimum. I can't keep making a mistake like this because, again, if you're going to make mistakes, you got to fucking learn from them. If you actively looked into Nux, you'd spot the weird pattern of shit that follows the man, especially with Mama Max. I don't know if it's a bias you have, but if you're going to be critical of others, which I am, expect people to be critical of you when you platform weirdos and don't actually vet them. And I totally understand that criticism, and it's not something I want to actually keep happening in the future, okay? So if you make a video complaining about the fact that you're being criticized here, I won't be surprised if you snip half of this post and then act like we're all stupid. Which I'm not. I literally will not do that, okay? If it's one thing that I don't do ever, all right, and you're a long-time watcher, I'm not going to fucking snip a post, okay? I'll respond to the whole thing. There's genuine criticisms of you that people are making in good faith because they like you and your content, exactly. And for those people, I'm making a video like this to really, again, address these situations. If you ignore that, that's on you. But it sure is weird that this is the second time now that you don't vet people and blindly vouch for them. Again, Mama Max, the example used before, it wasn't just me vouching for this guy. Everyone in the community really did. Until, of course, shit hit the fan. People really started looking into this content. And even then, I was one of the large YouTubers that came out and really actually mentioned that, took accountability, in my personal opinion, and owned up to it. Really breaks the immersion you try to make of being a respectable, neutral party. When you actually have vouched for monsters 2 times in the last 3 to 4 years. Which again, I do 100% apologize for, and it's something that I have to do better. I have to get rid of a blind spot. I have to get rid of biases. But yeah, when it comes to things like this and people, you know, alleging stuff like watching Loli on the down low, it's not something that I ever do. It's not something that I ever want to do, and it's not something I condone. And for that, I do take accountability into not pushing back and stepping away from this situation. Your community can go harass everyone who doesn't like your opinion because whether you believe it or not, you've got a hive mind of people who support you blindly, which I shouldn't have, okay? You should be 100% critical of everyone. I'm not an infallible person. I'm somebody that makes mistakes, as I'm describing in this video. And I do not ever endorse anybody in my community going out to harass somebody. If you harass somebody, you're not in the Some Ordinary Gamers community in my books. But unless you actually grow from how much you blindly believe people, you'll continue to make the same mistakes every time, which I don't want to. And that's why, again, I'm making these videos. Because I think taking accountability is very important. And obviously, I believe taking accountability on the main channel is very important too. Okay? That's just where it comes down to. And again, if people wonder why posts get removed from the Reddit, nobody moderates this Reddit but the Reddit automod. And if you look very carefully, it says removed by Reddit, which, to be honest with you, Nostra Klonoa, this wasn't me hiding anything. I'm just going to hit approve on that because this shit absolutely drives me insane. I think we've got to change the automod settings at some point. Now, obviously, I want to address some other, like, power round criticism before we end this off. Lol, fuck Muda. Dude's been a hypocrite forever as well. Dude virtue signals over cartoons, but loves watching beheading videos. So I want to also address this statement as well. Now, on the podcast, I talked about a morbid curiosity that I have with, like, beheading videos, like cartel stuff on the internet. And I feel like I have to explain this a little bit more. My morbid curiosity comes from the fact that for a long time, for years at this point, I've been looking into the Mexican drug war. And if you ever followed like cartel social media, one of the weirdest things about their social media is you actually have like gang bosses, sicarios, like actual hitmen, like real hardened gangsters posting on Instagram, TikTok, posting on really any social media platform, their mansions, their extravagant lifestyles, they've got gold guns, Ferraris. It's really crazy propaganda they use to really house people in. But if you look in Reddit boards like r/narco footage, a lot of these boards where they, catalog the Mexican drug war, you'll find plenty of uses of social media where the cartel uploads straight up beheadings, violence, takedowns as forms of intimidation. So realistically, I don't enjoy or love watching this kind of stuff. If you ever watch my dark web videos, my dry heaving is insane, okay? Even if gore's not on the screen, I will throw up even thinking about these situations. So I don't watch these things for fun, but to give you a context about it, when I do come across this stuff in that specific context, it's more of me watching these things as part of my ongoing private investigation and research and morbid curiosity of a drug war happening where cowboys are raking in billions of dollars 2 hours south of the border from, Los Angeles? Literally right across the border of the United States from one of the richest countries in the world. You can have a nation where, again, billion-dollar gangs can effectively run entire portions of Mexico. It's an insane, wild scenario. People talk about crazy evil shit happening on the other side of the world. This is happening literally to the south of the border, and it's insane it's gone on this long. Now, obviously, I'm ending this video off on, again, Nux Taku is somebody that I have considered a friend at one point, but honestly, with a lot of these new things that have sort of come and resurfaced and people have brought these things up to my attention, it's not something I feel comfortable really even, looking at, okay? I don't like lowly stuff, and honestly, in a lot of these clips where, again, Nux with me involved in these sort of competitions or these sort of collaborations is not something I'm okay with. It's not something I like being attributed to, and it's something that I 100% condemn. So as far as there being a bridge between me and Nux Taku, it doesn't exist, and it won't ever exist. And honestly, looking at some of these clips again and some of these thumbnails that have been changed around, and again, some of these other situations involving other VTubers that feel very wronged in these situations regarding Nux Taku, I don't feel comfortable ever associating with this person. And regardless of whatever past or friendship that I've had, whatever that led to a blind spot, I do 100% take accountability for my fuck-ups being part of some of these collaborations, competitions, these game shows, okay? There's plenty of larger creators that have collaborated with Nux, and I'm not going to make a giant spiel and say everyone should be guilty by association. All I'm here for is saying that I am definitely in the wrong for even contributing or watching any of this kind of illegal content. Had I known it at the time, I would have stepped away immediately. But I really, honest to God, didn't. And whether people think that I'm playing dumb or I'm not being 100% truthful, you're never going to win over people that never want to side with you. But I just want to get my piece out there. I also want to end this video off by saying that to any of the creators that have made videos on me and covered this whole situation, regardless of whatever thumbnails have been brought up or titles or any of these situations, I want to apologize to people like Chud Logic in this situation because I really do feel like I did wrong you, obviously, with my misspeaking, my misstatements. I shouldn't have even said anything in the first place, and if I've hurt you or your career in this entire process, then I humbly apologize with it, okay? I know that, things probably wouldn't, smooth over, but I think an apology is due, and I think you gotta be man enough to apologize, when you have to. Now, when it comes to creators that have made videos on me, being critical of me on this subject, I don't want to obviously come across as somebody that was sweeping it, under the rug or pretending to ignore it the entire time. Look, if you make a video on me being critical about me, I am totally okay with that. I have obviously been critical of other people in the past. This is not something that is completely out of my wheelhouse. For the creators that have made videos on me calling me out for it, it is something that, again, I thank you for. Accountability is very important. Policing this community is very important. And when people make fuck-ups, you gotta at least be able to address those fuck-ups and own them. And I do definitely own my mistakes on, again, watching any of this lolicon with Nux Taku. I didn't know it at the time, but honestly, reviewing it and this footage and these clips, yeah, it shouldn't have been something that I was ever a part of in the first place. And I do 100% take full accountability for that, okay? Massive, massive fucking L on my part. But it's not something that I absolutely want to bring up as something that is malicious on my end, okay? There were no crazy gooning sessions in the background. At the end of the day, my relationship with Nux Taku is pretty much over, and it's not something I ever want to rekindle, especially after reviewing all the other things that have come out of this. At the end of the day, I make fuck-ups. Human beings, we all make fuck-ups. I think choosing how you acknowledge those fuck-ups, that goes a long way. And how I choose to acknowledge this fuck up is basically, again, by completely being 100% transparent, honest with you, shedding light on things like the podcast shutting down. And ultimately, I want to move past this, leave this behind, and really just sort of end this on a note where at least I get my side of the story out. For the last couple months, this has been something where I feel like I've been taking a whole fuck ton of the pot shots when really it's Nux that should absolutely be taking a lot of this, shit full face on. Something that I haven't seen on his secondary channel, main channel, social media platforms is actually taking accountability for some of these pretty serious grievances. Look, at the end of the day, I don't think this is a simple cancellation. Lowly content is not something that I ever endorse, and it's something that I've been 100% against. And unfortunately, having somebody who may have potentially shown me this stuff based on the clips that I've seen, which seems to be a pretty high likelihood, is not something that I should have ever done. Should have been completely 100% against it. Take accountability for it. But ultimately, yeah, I don't ever want to work with Nux going in forward. I think that bridge has long since been burned. And like I burned a bridge with Mama Max, with his situation, this is not a bridge I want to keep continuing. So I definitely want to take accountability for my stuff. But yeah, this is me, Mutahar, and I'm out.
God damn.
Goddamn. Ain't that some shit?
Enron is back. It's the 23rd anniversary of their bankruptcy, and they released this clip, which is the biggest piece of corpo slop I've seen in a long time.
The world is changing faster than ever. Can you feel it? Growth, transformation, rebirth. In the modern world, you must accept change is the only constant. Learn how to adapt, forgive, to allow change to happen in the world and within ourselves. We understand this better than anyone, and we're here to lead by example.
I am Enron.
I am Enron.
I am Enron.
We are Enron.
So look, I gotta say, it's both incredibly well produced, but also so generic. Like, they're using random SpaceX clips with jargon like, you gotta adapt, you gotta change. We know that better than anyone. But at the same time, it seems like a lot of work to have actual actors stand up and say, like, I am Enron, I am Enron, and then do some CGI of their logo with people standing around, but the people are duplicated. It is a lot of effort, which had many people, including myself, wondering, why? Why are you doing this? Why do you have an old man in a wheelchair with a VR goggles? What's going on? So you look at their website, they clearly are teasing something. They also have this hilarious, like, hour values, and it's the most generic thing ever. Like, you gotta be nice. But the real thing most people have keyed in on is this claim by the press release, where they say that they're going to do permissionless innovation, decentralized technology is advancing, which obviously screams crypto token. At the same time, other people are saying, well, if you look in their terms of use, they claim that this is actually parody. It's buried in their terms of use. It says the information on this website is First Amendment protected. Parody represents performance art and is for entertainment purposes only. Now, it's a bit unclear because sometimes that kind of language is used to actually absolve themselves of responsibility rather than just being, a big, like, nothing burger. I mean, maybe it's performance art. Maybe you're calling it performance art so you can run your scam, if that makes sense. Because the merch they're selling on here does seem to be real. It seems like you can really buy it. So it's not a total joke, and clearly they're expecting something out of all this work, all this production. So I wanted to know more. I want to know, are they really launching a coin? Are they not? Because if they don't launch the coin, this is pretty funny. It's pretty, if it is a joke, it is a pretty funny joke. But if it's like that classic, oh, I'm ironically trying to scam people, then I actually don't think that's as funny. So we already have a little bit of information. Apparently, Enron deleted this tweet. They said to respond to the thousands of messages we received, we do not have a token or coin yet. Stay tuned. We're excited to show you more soon. Seeming to like kind of hint around the fact that there is some kind of crypto coming, which is very disappointing. There are currently some funny things happening where people called Enron out for using fake employee profiles. Like many of my peers, I was skeptical at first of the Enron family. This is Malik, director of sales, but actually it's a Shutterstock image. Now, what's funny is Enron actually replied to this tweet, and they said, Malik is a valued member of the Enron team and also had a successful modeling career, which we support, which is, yeah, pretty good cope. The only problem is, I guess multiple of their people are actually Shutterstock employees as well. This lady also had a successful modeling career. You can see Tina, their executive assistant, is also a Shutterstock model. So you kind of have to wonder what's going on there. I think the most interesting part, though, is if you look at the trademark patent office, you can see that there have been some applications where I think we can learn more of what's actually happening here. Here you can see an application for the Enron trademark on 2024, July 30th. What's interesting about this is that they do mention cryptocurrency services as part of their trademark. If you don't know, in order to enforce a trademark, you have to actually say what your mark is good for, what it's going to be used for. Also, electronic storage of crypto tokens for others, non-downloadable audio, video, and image files authenticated by non-fungible tokens. So NFTs. What's clear from this is that this was a very long-term plan. I mean, this is like almost 6 months ago that they applied for this. It's like a lot of work to go through. At the same time, though, the mystery deepens when you look at this 2023 application, where the trademark once again sounds more like a parody. It says that there's going to be an educational entertainment service, namely a continuing program about the dangers of corporatism and corporate greed, accessible by means of radio, television, satellite, web-based, and mobile applications. And here we see the Enron Corporation owner and address. The title of the applicant seems to belong to the College Company LLC. And when I looked them up, things got a lot more interesting. It seems to belong to the people who also registered Birds Aren't Real, which is a parody performance art project, which seems to be my conclusion in this whole case. Of course, I could be wrong. Here's, of course, a lot of the stuff they've registered. You can see the recent Enron trademarks. So my running theory is that this is a big joke and they probably won't launch a crypto token. I hope not. But it seems like it's the guys behind Birds Aren't Real, which is a parody project used to sort of mock conspiracy theorists. Basically, they say birds aren't real and they take themselves very seriously, but it's kind of a joke. So I think that's the story. Enron's back.
It's so fucking funny.
Sort of. I hope not really. I'm hoping that this is all a big joke. And if it is a joke, it's kind of funny. I got to admit, they had me for a second. They had me for a split second there. I thought, are we really running it back? I hope not. That said, I still don't know. You know, I'm not a total trademark expert. It could be that these Birds Aren't Real guys sold the trademark to someone else. I don't know. Maybe they still do launch a token. I don't know. If they do, please do not invest, as always. And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, that's right. I need like 3 grand from the bills. Oopsies.
Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So over the past couple of days on social media, there's been a lot of doom and gloom amongst VTuber fans, especially Hololive fans. They believe the latest big graduation from the company is a signal that there is potentially some internal issues going on at the company that is driving away some of its biggest talents. Now, 2024 has actually been a pretty tough year for some VTuber agencies. Now, a lot of people focus on, of course, Niji Sanji, and in particular, Niji Sanji EN, that has had a disastrous few months this year. However, things have actually been pretty quiet recently for Niji Sanji, other than really the graduation of Victoria Brightshield. Things have been pretty quiet the last couple of months. In fact, it's been Hololive that's been having a lot of news, including some big graduations, some hiatuses, as well as some people changing their role in the company to an affiliate, basically a more behind-the-scenes type personnel instead of being on the forefront and streaming all the time. And that is something that is leading to some concern, let's just say. And the biggest thing to happen recently is the graduation of Fauna. This is something that was announced 2 days ago. She'll be graduating on January 3rd of next year, and you can see her post right here explaining what's going on. And honestly, based on her public statement that she shared on YouTube, it's only 5 minutes if you want to give it a full listen, but it is pretty simple as to the reason why she's leaving. I'll just play a few seconds.
The reason for my graduation is disagreement with management.
There it is. That's pretty much it. Disagreements with management. Now, this is something we've heard pretty recently also from other Hololive members, and this is something that has a lot of people concerned, because what does that mean? Is there some internal strife going on? What's these issues with management that are being referred to? But either way, a lot of people are sad to see her go, and of course, you can check out her past life account. She's already been posting on there over the past couple of weeks, which is interesting to see. Lemon Leaf is the account. Again, one of the things that I'm glad is being no longer treated as taboo is sharing the past life of agency VTubers when they graduate. I don't think there's any secret that I've revealed here. She's gained 200k subs in the past 2 days since announcing her graduation on her Fauna account, so I don't think I'm actually really revealing anything too secret here. But yes, this is the account you can find. Now, there's a lot of conversation going forward about why this is happening, and I've seen some pretty wild stuff going on with Hololive and Cover Corp, and some theories people have as to what's going on with the company. I've heard this conversation going on that is very controversial. People are saying that Hololive and Cover Corp have gone fully woke, and this is the reason talents are leaving, because the company's gone woke and everything is changing, and Gargura is a DEI hire. Okay, I made that last part up, but you get the hysteria going on. A lot of people are very concerned. They think this is the beginning of the end, because Hololive is not only just going woke, that they're already woke. Now, I disagree with that. I don't think Hololive and Cover Corp are woke. However, I think the issue is a lot of people are going to the extremes with this, and I think a lot of the things that are being pointed at as concerning are valid concerns, that there is a direction the company is heading, and many would view that as woke. I don't think they're there yet, but I think there's signs that they're heading in that direction. But when it comes to Fauna, none of that has anything to do with their graduation. I think that's clear. The only thing I might say is, because of a lot of changes happening in the company, I think there might be some personnel shortages, which is causing probably some internal strife. But anyways, let's talk about some of these concerns I've been referring to. So this year's been actually one filled with a lot of change for Hololive, beginning with probably the biggest change, the fact that Cover Corp is now public, meaning investors can claim a share of the company, which then means they might have influences on what goes before the board, which then also might influence what's going on with the company, because up until this point,
Every fucking day, this shit stresses me out. So I have 2 people watching. What the fuck? Been no one here this whole time. We have 2 little people over here hanging out, man. Why don't you pop in the chat and say hi? People watching. Confused. I don't understand what's going on in mine and the thing, so I hit refresh. I was gonna tell me I have 1 concurrent viewer right now, but then I have 3 of them. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. Well, they're gone. And they're gone. Man. Hey, well. My fucking mic not coming through now? Yeah. What? Yo. Yo.
It's like every time this dude commits a crime, he takes a video of it. What is it with this dude?
Did you see Biden pardoned Hunter Biden? Of course he's going to do that.
Hunter Biden faced sentencing for false statements and gun convictions this month. In September, he pled guilty to federal charges of failing to pay $1.4 million in taxes while spending lavishly on drugs, sex workers, and luxury items. Community Note has been confirmed. No one is above the law. Did he really say this? On December 1st, 2024, President Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter Biden for crimes covering nearly 11 years of offenses against the United States, which he has committed or may have committed or has taken part in during the period from January 2014 to December 2024. So this guy basically got a fucking get-out-of-jail-free card that lasted for 10 years. Damn, bro, that's a clean sweep.
It's still a no. It's still a no. It will always be a no. It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
They really doubled down on this, huh?
But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son? Yes. Your son Hunter is on trial.
Well, I guess that didn't happen. Actually, you know what? The chance is that he actually might have forgot that he said this. So he forgot that he said this. Now it's like, what do you mean I said I wouldn't part? Of course I was going to do that. I will say this, though. I hope Hunter Biden runs for president. Do you think he'd win? I think that we do not live in a world where he can't win. Was that the quote? Yeah, this is the thing I said he should run on. He should run on the campaign slogan of "crackdown on crime." I feel like if he did that, it would be so fucking ridiculous. People would like it. I think it's gonna happen. Let the country go down in flames for memes. Well, it's gonna go. It's gonna go up in smoke, actually. But it's a little bit different, right?
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. So we got another interesting development here. Over the last couple of years, we've seen some very interesting prominent characters, especially on the left, change a lot. People like Anna Kasparian, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk immediately come to mind. These prominent figures undergoing a political evolution of sorts in the public.
Fuck.
Been the story over the last year or so, and while this has been happening, there's been one figure who's been signaling a little bit as if he's following that trend, has been Mark Zuckerberg. All remember this infamous moment.
Now look, I mean, there's obviously a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. I mean, the historic events over the last, like over the weekend, and I mean, on a personal note, it's, yeah, I mean, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. But look, I mean, it's, you know, and I think, look, it's, at some level as an American, it's like hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit and that fight. I think that's why a lot of people like the guy.
You know, from the Zuckerbucks guy, that would have been unthinkable in 2020 or 2016. But now, all of a sudden, it seems he's had a change of heart. And with the latest reports surrounding Mark Zuckerberg, it seems like the meta-billionaire is trying to foster a relationship with Donald Trump. And of course, this has question marks written all over it. Certainly an interesting topic to delve into, so let's do that today. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, friends, so it's Mark Zuckerberg, the man behind the controversial Zuckerbucks scandal. The Zuckerbucks refers to a massive cash infusion that Mark Zuckerberg funneled into the 2020 election through a bunch of non-profit organizations to the tune of $400 million, all with the ambition of turning out the Democrat mail-in ballot vote in the most important Rust Belt swing states. Essentially, Mark Zuckerberg's the billionaire who put $400 million in an attempt to tilt the scales against Donald Trump. You could argue the highest level of influence peddling. Well, fast forward 4 years later, now this same Zuckerberg is reportedly signaling interest in joining Team Unity. Kyle Becker released this post on X that Mark Zuckerberg is supposedly interested in joining Trump's big tech coalition to make America great again. And we've also got this report from NPR telling us that Mark Zuckerberg actually flew down to Florida and dined with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. So it's obvious what he's doing. He's essentially saying, hey, I want in. I want to be part of this cool new team. And it's obvious that Mark Zuckerberg has had, well, a little bit of a rebrand lately. From this to now ayahuasca hipster MMA guy. You know, something's happening there with Zuckerberg, but the question is it genuine? I mean, excuse me if I'm not willing to give Mark Zuckerberg instant benefit of the doubt here. Let's not sugarcoat the clear issues at odds here. Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook and Instagram have been some of the worst offenders on the issue of free speech. It wasn't just the Zuckerbucks in 2020. Facebook also banned the Hunter Biden laptop scandal and has been silencing conservatives on their platform for at this point nearly a decade. Facebook essentially operates as a de facto propaganda machine for the left. They stifle conservative voices and stifle debate under the guise of combating misinformation. And obviously we know that's a little bit at odds with where Elon Musk and Donald Trump stand. Of course, we've seen Elon Musk's transformative leadership at X, formerly known as Twitter, his unapologetic restoration of banned accounts, and total transparency when it came to the Twitter files and how they're handling the algorithm to respect both sides. And of course, then we have Donald Trump.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple. Just like dominoes, one by one, they'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. By restoring free speech, we'll begin to reclaim our democracy and save our nation.
So I guess the question is, how does Mark Zuckerberg fit in here? People are obviously skeptical. It's not only me.
Zuckerberg is a fraud, pretending to care about American democracy and the election. This guy spent $400 million last election cycle, and I don't care what he says, he is going to spend money somehow, some way in this election cycle. And let's put that aside. He owns one of the largest social media companies on earth in Facebook, Meta, and Instagram. I didn't hear the CEO and owner, Mark Zuckerberg, come out and say, I guarantee you my companies will not participate in censorship at the behest of the FBI or anyone else in the federal government, like we did in the last 2 elections, like we did with Hunter Biden's laptop, like we did with the 51 Intel letter. He could have said that, but he didn't because he wants it to happen. And as a sort of proactive, preemptive move to say, oh, I told you so, he came out to the media and said, oh, you know, my bad, I'm sorry. But it doesn't matter to these guys because they're going to go past November 5th. And if they get their way and Harris is awarded the victory, they're just going to be like, nothing to see here. And if Donald Trump wins, they'll come back and say, see, our companies tried to comply, but it's BS. And Zuckerberg is the biggest fraud in big business.
Can he or can he not be trusted, I guess, is the question. At least the question that everybody's asking, but honestly, my thought is, who cares? Who cares whether it's genuine or not? There's always going to be Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. People who don't have the backbone to stand up for important things when it truly matters. What matters is ensuring that the dominant culture prevails in defending freedoms. Essentially, ensuring a perfect landscape or environment where the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world essentially don't have a choice. And so I guess enter Team Unity, the antithesis of Silicon Valley's culture of suppression. Donald Trump has brought together a diverse group of leaders here. RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk. A team that is prioritizing constitutional rights as a principal priority. And essentially it's created a culture in Mark Zuckerberg, being one of those possible, let's call him social chameleons. Well, I guess he's got no choice but to shift, because the power dynamic here is shifting. And I think what's at stake here, and hopefully what's likely to happen, is that this cultural shift sends a clear message to big tech that they can no longer ignore the demand for free speech. The days of dictating public discourse from Silicon Valley boardrooms are hopefully done. Or at least that's my hopeful reading of what's happening here. If Mark Zuckerberg, a man synonymous with left-wing influence peddling and censorship, is now signaling a shift, well, it's a harbinger of things to come. The culture clearly has shifted, the political power balance.
It's okay to attack women. What?
I said Alyssa Mercante making jokes about the Trump attempted assassination wasn't funny, and how David here said that he thought it was kind of suspicious and it might have been staged, and that wasn't cool. But he whipped out a book about the WWE and Vince McMahon and said, oh, there's a lot of information about Trump in here and how he's good at understanding an audience and entertaining a crowd. But that's literally anyone in life, let's be honest. Every single political candidate is just trying to convince you to vote for them.
Yeah.
Trump is just extremely good at it. But at the end of the day, every single politician is like this. But instead, he decides to single out Trump, which is just absurd.
There's a book. I had the author on my show. It's called Ringmaster. It's a great book. There is an entire chapter about the relationship between sex creep offenders, some of the shit he's alleged to have done, Vince McMahon, and Donald Trump. Him and Vince McMahon have a close relationship. They talk a lot, and he breaks it down into how Vince McMahon's tactics of building up an audience and staging things and doing kayfabe, which again, look into it, is being, according to the author, replicated as Trump was the president, ran for president, and ran for president again. It's just read a little bit. You've got to do the research, lady. I didn't just pull out some rando book on the WWE. I pulled out a book.
Was sued for allegedly, so this is an accusation? So she gets sued for something that might have happened? And we're supposed to assume that it happened?
About the fucking thing I was speaking about. And do I think Trump's assassination was staged? I don't know. But I'll make a deal with you. If you think that's beyond the pale and hard to believe, I don't know. Then you guys talking about, hell, going back to Barack Obama not being a citizen. Or you guys talking about kids go.
How about this? The Trump assassination being a fake is a retarded opinion to have. You're so stupid. Thinking Obama wasn't a citizen is a retarded opinion to have. You're so stupid. What's the third one?
Going to school and coming home a different sex.
Right, yeah. So the fact that they're doing transgender surgeries on kids at school without telling their parents, so fucking stupid. It's all retarded. So the argument of I can't stop being retarded because they can't stop being retarded, that means you're retarded.
School and comes home a few days later with an operation. The school decides what's going to happen with your child.
Trump should have never said this. This is fucking retarded for him to say this. So stupid for him to say this. Absolutely so stupid, totally unnecessary.
Do you really want to go toe-to-toe with which political party, Vera, offers up a trough of horse shit? Who's got the most horse shit? I mean,
why's it got to be a competition? If it's bad, call it out. Just be honest. Stop playing for a team. Just look at reality.
You're not educated enough. You're not bright enough, Vera, to talk to me or to talk about what I talk about. You're just not.
He also said...
So he really mad about this, huh? He really in his feelings.
Not educated enough. You're not bright enough, Vera, to talk to me or to talk about what I talk about. You're just
I mean,
not.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't really see how, like, you know, because there are people on the other side of the political spectrum that think something stupid. This is like a justification for me to think something stupid. Like, I don't really think that's like, is this really the high-minded logic that we're really expecting here? Like, because I feel like there's 5-year-olds that do that. Yeah, I mean, fuck, you try and pull something out of a dog's mouth really hard, the dog's going to bite down on it more because he's like, well, you can't do that, I'm going to get it. So, like, I mean, like, this is what dog does. I mean, like, what the fuck?
He also said, oh, he's older than me, so he knows more about politics than I do, and that I should, quote, go fuck myself. So I'm one of the grifters he's calling out, even though his definition of a grifter is somebody sitting online, making videos, talking about a game, when he's literally doing the same exact thing. Now,
is that my definition of a grifter?
Well, what is
Where are you getting that, Vera Dart, from? Again, Vera, I'm going to give you a little bit of an education here. Jeffy's definition of a grifter is literally sitting online talking about games. You don't believe me? Not a problem. Vera Dark here for you with all the facts. Here's where he defined grifter 2 years ago. What's that you say? Grifter? Grifter, huh? Well,
what the fuck?
I suppose that's when you play them video games like the Atari, and you have somebody taking a picture of you and you say, I'm going to say this about the video. I think that's when that's a grifter. Didn't think we'd find this, did you, Jaffe? But I'm good at my job. I've never defined grifter as that. A grifter is somebody who makes money off people by lying to them. That's what they do. A grifter is not someone who sits in front of.
So do you think she's lying? Who's lying? Who do you think is lying? Like, yeah. I mean, that's fine. You like, who's lying? Like, what is this?
Cameron talks about video games, Vera Dark. You just don't know how to do this.
If she doesn't know how to do it, that doesn't mean that she's like, that's two different. It's two different things.
Don't know how to do this. You are in that chair, Vera, because of your hair and your face and your gender. And that's fine, by the way. There's no problem with that. I don't deny anyone making money and building an audience off, the things that they've got. But
it's always funny how the people the most progressive turn out to be the most I think bigoted is not right. Bigoted is too much. The most judgmental. Regressive. Yeah, that's it. And so it's crazy how, like, all you have to do is push a person like this a little bit, and then they immediately turn into something that's worse than you. I think it's interesting to see that happen. It really is. He's crashing out. He is. He's crashing out. Like, David needs to take some time off the internet. I know he probably doesn't mean this, like, and he's just upset. He's in his feelings and pissed off because people are mad at him on the internet. But stop acting like such a bitch. Stop acting like such a bitch and being nasty and getting mad over shit. Yeah, it's a sexist old man. Also, like, I mean, I could understand this happening. Like, this is what's sad about this, is that, like, people have pop-offs like this on the internet a lot, but the difference is that a lot of times it happens on a live stream, but, like, you are not on a live stream and you still can't figure out that you shouldn't upload something like this. Why would you upload and say something like this about somebody? Because also, like, there are plenty of girls that, like, I mean, let's be real. Like, I mean, she's not sitting there showing her titties. It's not like she, like, her having orange hair is getting people to watch the videos. I feel like if you're going that far, you're already off the edge. Yeah, I mean, she's not over-sexualized. She's not doing anything crazy at all. The guy qualifies all his statements, but it's a sexist. It's obviously, like, and there are girls that have a position that is advantageous because of their appearance. This is obvious. Everybody knows this. But to say that that's the reason why she's there or people aren't watching, like, that's just stupid.
Building an audience off base and your gender. You just don't know how to do this. You don't know how to do this. You are in that chair.
I'll be honest, this guy, like, this is what's embarrassing. It's that he wouldn't just say that the Trump assassination was real. Or if you think it's fake, you need to acknowledge that you have no evidence of it being fake. You can still think that, but there's no evidence that it happened. It's like you recorded this, then you uploaded it yourself.
Vera, because of your hair and your face and your gender. And that's fine, by the way. There's no problem with that. I don't deny anyone making money.
It's fine. Now, obviously, like, all of the things that make you, like, you don't owe any of your success to the effort that you've put into it, and it's only because of the way that you look. But that's fine. I'm not being judgmental, but, like, you're stupid and you're only popular because of the fact that you're an attractive female. But that's fine. That's okay. It's okay that you, but I'm just saying this is the way it is. Baldy's really on one today, huh?
And building an audience off, the things that they've got.
Yeah.
But let's be clear. So far, my encounters with you online, you're a mental lightweight. And that's fine. People have all kinds of...
I kind of like him because he's so obnoxious. It's like the same way you like Frieza, or like Dio. It's like, oh, they're just awful.
Like, you know what I'm bad at, Vera? I'm bad at math, man. If I was in, like, NASA and they were like,
yeah.
Oh shit, the space station's gonna explode. Everybody, we can only solve this by looking at the blueprints and the math and the geometry. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Jaffe, get in here. Within 5 minutes, they'd be like, Jaffe, go get the coffee. It's not for you. That's okay. They're right. Your voice could literally get Putin to back out of the Ukraine. The Ukraine was a boy band from the 80s. Ukraine. You have about as much mental capacity as a spider that I killed in my shower this morning. It's the goddamn truth, Vera.
So What Putin have to do
It's
with
going to explode. Everybody, we can only solve this by looking at the blueprints and the math and the, geometry. I don't fucking know. Jaffe, get in here. Within 5 minutes, they'd be like, Jaffe, go get the coffee. It's not for you. That's okay. They're right. Your voice could literally get Putin to back out of the Ukraine.
Is he hitting on her? He's saying her voice is annoying? Oh. Oh.
Ukraine. The Ukraine was a boy band from the 80s. Ukraine. You have about as much mental capacity as a spider that I killed in my shower this morning. It's the goddamn truth, Vera.
Somebody replies and it says, "This is embarrassing." And he says, "Not as embarrassing as your take on trans kids. It was not researched. It was cruel and it had no basis in facts. So forgive me if I don't take all your takes that seriously." Who's this person? Look at the fucking thumbnail. God of Cock Meltdown. Oh my God, look at this. Oh man, yeah, sure. Trans kids, for sure, man. And kids are mentally ill, David. I don't know why he's taking it personally. I have no idea. This is how a 53-year-old man on the internet acts. It's okay to say that women are only successful because of their looks. I can't keep up with the new rules anymore. I thought this was 2024. Well, and it's also like, I mean, Vera doesn't have an OnlyFans. She doesn't post like any sort of weird photos on Instagram. Like there are girls that are hoes on the internet, but she's not one of them. Like, that's just not what's happening. How would you know? I've researched this. I spend a lot of time on the internet. And so I don't even get that bald embarrassment. I don't know what this is going on, man. Fire's going on. It's really sad. Can't even see her boobs. Yeah. She's not trying to do any weird shit like this. Like, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I think that he's having a mental. I think that what this dude needs to do, you need to just get off the fucking internet. Stop making videos about people. Stop arguing with people. Instead of calling them stupid, just attack what they're saying. Like, just listen to what they're saying and then respond to that. Like, this entire video wasn't even about anything that she said. It was about her being stupid. And the argument for her being stupid is the fact that she didn't take an allegation of a lawsuit that, by the way, never amounted to anything seriously, and that he thinks that the Trump assassination could have been fake, and he thinks it probably is fake. He just knows that he can't say that because he's going to reveal that he's a retard if he does. So it's like one of these opinions that, like, you know this is a dumb opinion, but you still have it, but you don't want to, like, you don't want people to know that you have it, but you want people to know that you have it, right? It's like, I can't say, like, let me think of a way to say it. Oh, fuck. Like, you're speaking it into existence, right? I think it's fake human. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, so that's what this came from. Okay, now I understand the context. It's a 4-minute video. I'll watch it.
Thank you for joining me. Today, we will discuss the topic of David Jaffe, a senior veteran of the games industry, publicly attacking a consumer and content creator known as Vera Dark. Please wait until the end of the video so I may offer an apology to David. Recently, David has made statements on his YouTube channel insulting and attacking Vera. The basis
nothing to do with what she said, by the way,
of David's attack is to denigrate Vera by asserting that her success as a content creator is not attributed to hard work and competence, but instead is owed entirely to her only two values, her attractive looks and gender.
Yes.
This is a strange statement coming from someone who advocates for this modern cultural movement. David's words and...
It's because they don't believe in it. They just want to tell other people what to do. It's that simple. Yeah. I bet he could define what a woman is and is degrading her for being a woman. I don't know.
Actions echo those of a cultural movement which has core philosophies built around identity supremacy and tearing people down based on their gender and politics. Not uplifting people, tearing people down. Then they claim to be fighting for marginalized groups so they can...
The best way to fight against discrimination is to discriminate. That's right. That's right. If you're racist to enough people, eventually you become unracist. You have to fight fire with fire. Yeah.
Shields and as bulletproof armor. Vera. The basis...
Nothing to do with what you said, by the way.
...of David's attack is to denigrate Vera by asserting that her success as a content creator is not attributed to hard work and competence, but instead is owed entirely to her only two values, her attractive looks and gender.
Yes.
This is a strange statement coming from someone who advocates for this modern cultural movement. David's words and...
It's because they don't believe in it. They just want to tell other people what to do. It's that simple. Yeah. I bet he could define what a woman is and is degrading her for being a woman. I don't know.
Actions echo those of a cultural movement which has core philosophies built around identity supremacy and tearing people down based on their gender and politics. Not uplifting people, tearing people down. Then they claim to be fighting for marginalized groups so they can...
The best way to fight against discrimination is to discriminate. That's right. That's right. If you're racist to enough people, eventually you become unracist. You have to fight fire with fire. Yeah.
Shields and as bulletproof armor. Today I will not be addressing David directly. I will not set out to insult David, my senior in the games industry, and I will explain that in a moment. Today I will not be defending Vera Dark. The reason being is that Vera does not require any assistance in defending herself from a man as small as David Jaffe. Women are not damsels in distress. Their gender has no impact on their ability to defend themselves against people like David Jaffe.
Yeah.
David describes Vera as a mental lightweight. I cannot fault David for this.
David spent 21 hours playing Dragon Age the Veilguard. He didn't know who Solus was. This is the guy. He didn't even know who one of the main antagonists of the game. That's that says enough. That's crazy. You spend 20 hours playing a game. What do you mean? He praised the exploration as he was in a corridor. The exploration in the game is okay. It's not great, it's okay.
In the same way that a dog cannot understand why a human would create a painting or write a book, David is not capable of identifying intelligence or lack thereof. No, I will not defend
Can't identify
Vera
characters
Dark
in the game he's trying to defend
she
either.
is more than intelligent enough
Can't do
and
that.
strong enough to deal with someone like David on her own. Were I in a position to offer Vera advice on the matter, it would simply be that a famous senior veteran of the games industry engaging in playground-level misbehavior is just not worth her time. As game developers and public figures, we must understand and accept
It's definitely worth
the
his time. I mean, it's
responsibility
fucking
that
hilarious.
we
All
are
the board.
not just here to produce entertainment media. We must lead by example and show people they can aspire to greatness, that they can work hard to follow their dreams.
And you can, if you work really hard, you can be like David Jaffe. You can be like him if you work really hard.
Most importantly, what it means to be a good person. As developers, as adults, we are not just here for ourselves.
Here's what you should tell yourself. Somebody said this in chat. They said, if this idiot can make a really popular game, maybe I can too. I feel like this has got to be like the biggest motivation for somebody who feels like they don't have it to get into games or to do something creative. Like, if this dumbass could figure it out, why can't you do it?
We are here for everyone. As I mentioned, I will not address David directly. The reason being is that David exhibits the psychological profile of someone who cries very easily, then offloads his trauma by projecting onto his children. For that reason, I will not say anything negative about David and will restrict my language solely to making basic statements of fact. I will not be addressing David directly, except for this one final statement.
Get help.
My apology to David Jaffe. To David, I sincerely apologize that your parents have failed you this badly, and you turned out this way. Your father should have shown you what it means to be a real man, but based on your recent misconduct, it is apparent he failed you.
Yeah.
I hope that one day, even if it takes a long time, you will figure out how to be an example of a
I love
good
this
adult
stupid drama.
for
It's so
your own
funny.
son, so that one day you can show him what it means to be a good man. A man should have no difficulty figuring out what that means by the time he's in his 50s. That is, of course, unless he is a mental lightweight.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. That was good. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. This is really funny. Give it a like. That's really fucking funny. And I don't understand how somebody, like, I feel like that's my favorite, like, it's actually, like, kind of one of my favorite, like, plot twists. It's when the people that are, like, super modern audience, super progressive, turn out to be super racist and, like, super misogynist, right? It's like, you know, like an M. Night Shyamalan movie where at the end of it, it turns out that all of the good guys are the bad guys. Yeah, every single time. Yeah, it's nuts, man. How does it happen? Every time. It seems that way. It seems like it's happening constantly. But I don't know how. I have no idea. First comments. Vera, thanks for covering the topic. Yeah. David Jaffe couldn't figure out how to get past a wall in Metroid game. Well, I can't make fun of him for that. I think the guy needs to take some time off the fucking internet and just try to relax, man. Like, if you're getting upset and mad about this shit constantly, you really got to seek help.
Oh, I almost dropped that. That almost went bad. Oh. Nice. Man, my fucking keyboard, asshole. Oh, this is killing me. I'm having a really hard time balancing everything. I need to. Man.
I don't finally watch this.
Your account has been leaked on the internet with your account information. This guy is bribing Sony employees and PlayStation and leaking user data for his own sales. Like he takes the. I thought PlayStation would solve the problem. We will come to a conclusion and everything would be fine. But sadly, nothing was solved. I tried my best to solve this. I even told them I'm gonna release a video.
And you can tell he has gotten a lot of platinum trophies because he's bald.
I did this.
What the fuck? Yeah. Like, I'm getting really annoyed. I'm about to go up to my fucking storage unit and go dig out my microphone because this is getting annoying. Stupid cheap ass little Dave and Buster's fucking Alibaba Temu bullshit that I have. No, where is the fucking microphone jack? It's been a long time since I fucked with this kind of shit. That was my face. Fuck, that hurt. I need to clean again. This is fucking gross. Loser degenerates, so I don't actually really care. It's more of the inconvenience, I guess. What the fuck is that at? Don't do that. Remember correctly, your speaker read as mic. Fuck these things. God damn it. Green speaker blues my greens. Greens fucking speakers. Fucking nice. Can't see right there. Don't want to move anything. I already made a fucking mess in my whole setup yesterday. Crashed my fucking stream and everything. And yeah. Motherfuck. Oh, that's right. Okay, so let's do it like this then. Flashlight. Which I can't remember. I cannot fucking see. Me too. So yeah. Okay, so there's like 8 different audio channels. It's looking like which one's which? Speaker. Pretty sure that was the microphone. Why the fuck does this have like 6 different fucking audio channels? What the fuck? I still have the fucking loop on technology anymore. It's fucking absurd.
This behind their back.
So that's still there. Let's go to OBS. Creator's not streaming enough video to maintain smooth streaming. What? What do you mean? What happened to my fucking... What? YouTube is receiving not enough video to maintain smooth as much viewers will experience buffering.
Why is my fucking stream quality poor all of a sudden? I'm so confused. Reset? What's going on? What happened? So confused. I'm so confused. Looking fine. Why does auto rotate keep turning off? It's so fucking annoying and retarded. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. What is going on?